Good afternoon, Year 5, and welcome to this week's art lesson. Last week, if you remember, we looked at colour matching. We took primary colours, red, yellow and blue, and we mixed them together gradually to see if we could get a progression of colour and to get some secondary colours. And then some of you went on further and experimented with mixing secondary and primary colours to see if we could get tertiary colours. In front of you, you'll see some examples of what some of you managed to do at home. Some of you might not have paints though, and that's okay. We've given alternatives in each lesson of things that you can do if you haven't got any paints. But any paint will do, so long as you can mix it together to make the different colours that we need. So before we move on to our practical art this week, I'd like you to have a look at these paintings. Take a minute to really think about them. You might even want to pause the video at this point so that you can just look at the paintings. And I want you to think about what are your reactions to these paintings. How do they make you feel? What can you see in them? Do you think they are of anything in particular? Or are they just a collection of ideas or thoughts that somebody's put down on paper? And how would you describe these paintings? Pause the video and jot down on a piece of paper any ideas that you have. These paintings are very different to the ones on the previous page. So I'd like you to think about, what are these paintings about? How would you describe them? And what's different from these paintings to the one on the previous page? What do you think? What's different? Again, if you want to, pause the video, have a good look at these paintings. What do you think? How would you describe them? How do they make you feel? The two different types of pictures that you've seen are called abstract, which was the first one, pictures such as these, and figurative art, which are these ones. So abstract art is art that doesn't attempt to make an accurate depiction of a visual reality, in other words, what you see, but instead it uses shapes and colours and forms and gestural marks to achieve its effect. So it's the artist's interpretation of what they're looking at. Figurative art, on the other hand, which were the paintings on the second screen, describe any form of modern art that retains a strong reference to the real world and particularly to the human figure. So if you look at this painting, you can see it's got two people that are instantly recognisable, and they're in a setting with some benches and a path, and you can see that you can actually work out what you think that painting is about. So I want you to think carefully about the two styles of painting and think about which one you prefer. And I want you to think about why you prefer it. Maybe you like the colours in abstract art and the way they're put together and the shapes and things. Or maybe you like a painting to be the actual picture that you see. So have a little think about it. What do you prefer and why? And what don't you like about some of the paintings? And what do you really like about certain types of the artwork? I'd like you to have a go at writing a little paragraph about your responses to these questions. You can do it on paper. So what do you prefer, abstract or figurative art? Or do you like some of each? And explain why. And maybe even pick out some examples from the ones on the previous pages to say which of those paintings you particularly liked and which ones you didn't. Once you've done that, I'd like you to have a look at the pictures of agate before, and I want you to focus on the colour differences in the stripes. If you look, they sort of fan outwards, okay, from the centre. So I want you to have a look at how the colours change as you come out from the centre to the outside of each of these pieces of agate. Agate is a stone that you can find along the coast, okay, and what happens is that people will cut them open very carefully, and inside you get this lovely polished surface which has a ring of different colours coming out. So I want you to think about, for each of those colours, what primary colour would they have started as, and what primary or secondary colours would need to be added to mix to make the different layers as you go through. So the task on the next page can be done using a variety of mediums. If you've got paint, that is the best. If any paint that you can mix, watercolour, oil, acrylic, Or if you've got any watercolour pencils, they also work really well. Pastels, chalks or colouring crayons though could give you some effect. The important thing is to have a go using whatever materials you have to hand. So if you have a slice of agate at home, or if you can print off one of the pictures on page 4 of this flip, you can use torn paper either side to make a thin runway. So you've got a piece of paper here if you like, and you've got a piece of paper here, and you make this runway strip so that you can see the stripes of colour going across, and that's what you're going to try and colour match onto a piece of paper. And I've put some other examples here. This is the purple one of the pink. So what you're trying to do is to represent this rectangle. Okay, you're not trying to make it into a circle or a square or anything, you're just trying to paint this runway so it'll be lines of the different colours. And some people find it easier to start in the middle and then paint outwards that way and that way. Okay, some people like to start one end and keep going till they get to the other. If you're not able to either print off the sheets or you haven't got any agate, you can just look at the ones that are on this screen. Okay, and I want you to see if you can use colour mixing to create a section of the agate. So I want you to reproduce this on your paper, or this. Once you have decided which agate you're going to do, whether you're going to do the one on the screen or you're going to print one off and make a runway with it, you then need to colour mix to make all the colours you will need, or if you're using crayons, you'll need to decide which ones you're going to use and how you can create each of the colours. Keep all the colours side by side, and if you need to change a shade slightly and add to it, you need to think about, would you need to add a little bit of white to lighten it or a little bit of black to darken it. And then I want you to get on and paint or sketch your section of agate in the centre of your page. You can pause the video whilst you go and do this. So you should end up with a picture that looks like this long rectangle with lots of stripes of colour across. Now, once you've done that and you've got your agate strips, you can see mine's here, I want you to extend some of your lines to create an imaginary creature that could live in the spacescape that we're going to be making later in this unit. You might want to extend the body like I have here. You might want to add a leg or an arm or an antennae, or you might want to give it wings. Okay, whatever it is, I want you to turn your agate strip that you've represented into a creature. Got a couple more examples on the next page. I did them on the screen, which is another option that you might be able to do if you can't do it on paper. But see what you can come up with. Can you create a creature? Is it figurative or abstract? Is it an insect-like creature, or is it something else? Your choice. But whatever you do, your Year 5 teachers are really excited to see the work that you produce. So please send it in so that we can see it, and keep it safe because we'll be using it in future art lessons. Happy painting or drawing, or whatever other medium you're using. Look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye, Year 5.